Good morning and welcome to Opening Doors. I'm your host, Warren Wortham, the manager for the Martin Luther King Jr. Center of Hawkeye Community College. As usual, we have a great show lined up for you this morning with some live guests in the studio. But before we get into our show, I do want to mention a couple of things you all should be aware of. Spring class registration is now open at Hawkeye Community College. So you should start planning to register early by visiting the Hawkeye website at www.hawkeyecollege.edu, and you can get more information while you're at the website as well. Or you can give us a call at 319-296-2320. Also, the Senior Saturday Experience Hawkeye is on Saturday, November 8th. If you're interested, you can register online again at www.hawkeyecollege.edu, or you can call 319-296-4000. Also, I wanted to mention that we have some new opportunities at the Martin Luther King Jr. Center, and those new opportunities include compass testing. So if you need to take the compass test in order to see where you fall at, as well as your skill level, you can give us a call at the Martin Luther King Jr. Center at 319-296-4440. Also, we now offer nurse aid classes and nurse aid 2, as well as rehabilitation aid classes. So if you're interested in getting your first taste of the health sciences field, please give us a call at 319-296-4440. We also now offer concurrent enrollment opportunities for high school students to obtain college credit while attending high school. So if you're interested in obtaining college credit while you're going to high school, or you're the parent of a student that's in high school and you would like to explore this opportunity, give us a call at 319-296-4440, or you can talk to your high school counselor. Well, in the studio with us this morning, we have Mr. Jerome Amos. Good morning, Jerome.
Good morning, Warren.
And we also have Mr. Jerry Orr. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Well, first of all, can you tell our listeners what your title is for the college and what you do for the college? And I'll start with you, Jerome.
Okay, my title is I'm an adjunct instructor in advanced manufacturing, CNC to be more specific. Right now what I'm doing is my job is to actually train CNC individuals in CNC at the Metro Center. Hawkeye received a grant to train minorities in the community in CNC, and we've set up a program for that training, and the cost of that training for the individuals is zero. The only thing that it is required of them is their time.
That's fantastic. And you know that price again, zero? I love that.
Every time.
And Jerry, how about you?
Yeah, my title for Hawkeye Community College is Trade and Industry Coordinator. So my job is to find needs in the community that we think where jobs are needed, and we provide and set up training for that type of job. So we're doing industrial maintenance, we're doing CNC, we do fork truck training, we do welding, and then of course we do some of the license renewal classes for plumbers or mechanical, electrical. We do all that too. So basically my job is to set up classes and find good instructors like Jerome here, and
Well, thank you.
get people in there and get them trained.
Fantastic. You know, that's a perfect segue into a statement I like to make every show, and that's Hawkeye Community College has a way of assessing the community needs, finding programming to meet those needs, and if the programming doesn't exist, they always will build it from the ground up. Would you agree?
You're exactly right.
Fantastic. And then I know too that with a lot of this programming, I've been told that it's been really flexible for people who might already have a job and need some flexibility in their scheduling while, you know, pursuing these opportunities. And is that accurate?
Yes. One of the things as far as our classes are running from 8 to noon, Monday through Friday. Now it used to be Monday through Thursday. And it's basically, we don't have any requirements other than you show up. We have individuals in there that are 19, 20-year-olds. We have an individual in there that's 60 years old.
Wow.
So we have a cross as far as the community right now goes. One of the other things, Warren, that I kind of like to mention right quick is we have also, starting the first of the year, Hawkeye got another grant to train English language learning students. So those that are interested will have an opportunity to get into our class. They've actually hired an individual to help those individuals that aren't proficient in English to take this class.
Oh, that's awesome. So can you tell our listeners a little more in depth what the programs are, how it kind of runs, how the whole thing comes together pretty much?
Sure, I can. Basically what we do is like I say, we take individuals with no machining knowledge, skill sets or anything, and we take them through a process from start to finish: blueprint reading, safety, how to set speeds and feeds, how to write programs, and how to operate equipment. And at the end of our 4-month training period, our students, every one of them so far, has been able to do the program writing and operate equipment. And the idea behind it is to give those individual skill sets so that they can present to the employers in the community to get some of those decent paying jobs that have the high skill sets.
Wow, that's great. And Jared, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd basically like to talk a little bit about 3 different programs that we have coming here. First of all, my classes are in the Business and Community Education Building in Cedar Falls. It's on 5330 Nordic Drive, kind of out in the industrial park, so that's where my classes are held. We have an industrial maintenance program that's going to be actually starting Monday night, so I know it's kind of a short notice, but we still have some spots available. That industrial maintenance will cover, first of all, there's a math class to get everybody kind of brushed up on their math a little bit, and then it'll cover electrical systems, fluid power systems, some motors and control class, a PLC class, mechanical systems, and then we've also added a welding option on the end. So that will be somebody that's coming out of that, have all that training, is employers are gonna look at them pretty good. So yeah, that's a good program. We just started the day session here about a week ago, and we got 9 people started in it. So and we have a few spots open for the evening yet. So then we also have a CNC machining class, very similar to the one Jerome was talking about. Ours runs at night. That'll be starting in January, the 20th of January. It runs Tuesday and Wednesday evenings from 5 to 10. So we have 10 stations in that class, so there's 10 people that we can hold in that class. So, and then we're excited about welding. We are building a brand new welding lab in our building. So it's just about complete. I would say another month or so we'll have a welding lab with 8 welding booths. So we run welding classes. We have one of them scheduled for in January as well, January 20th. It runs from 8 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's a 5-hour class. So yeah, we got a lot of things going on.
Wow. Now, you mentioned welding and CNC. I know a lot of times you see that there's like just a high demand for people that have those skills. Can you tell us exactly, Jerome, what CNC is? Because I do get that question a lot.
Okay, CNC, that stands for Computer Numerical Control. And basically what it is, Warren, is it's motors controlled by a computer, and you as an operator slash setup person on that would actually be entering information into a computer to tell a motor to move the machine a certain distance.
Okay.
That's basically what it is. Instead of the old way, which I come from the old school, you did things by hand, you took a hammer and moved it and put an indicator on it. Well, this, all you do is enter the information into the computer and it does everything for you.
Fantastic. Now, for a person that's going into a CNC career, is it pretty lucrative?
Yes, it is. I'm a John Deere retiree, 33 years, and that's one of the things Mike Cook, I know a lot of the people out there in the community know him. One of the things that Mike tells individuals is there are people working at Deere's who, with overtime, are making 6-figure incomes.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have to keep that up here because I think I want to learn a little bit about CNC myself. You know, I have 6 kids, so
Yeah, well, yeah.
6-figure income come in pretty handy.
but you know, and that's not the, I guess, would say the norm, because John Deere's is a high high-paying place, but,
Mhm.
you know, basically, let's say a starting wage at one of the other manufacturers, you probably start anywhere from $12 to $17 an hour.
And that's starting?
That's starting. You know, a place like Viking Pump, and by the way, we do have one of our students from the last class that actually got hired at Viking Pump, and they told us that their starting wage is like $16 an hour, and that's not CNC, that's just getting in the door.
Oh,
So,
that's nice.
yes.
So listeners, I mean, you might wanna think about taking advantage of that. And then Jerry, welding, how lucrative is it?
I think welding is, very, it's a in-demand job. I don't actually know exactly some of the, what the places are paying, but, I know there's, it's, the welding opportunities are great in the area, and welding has really been, welding has changed from years ago where it was a horrible, dirty job to, it's much cleaner type work now, so, yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of times when I talk to a lot of women about welding, because I've heard that if a woman goes into welding, she can kind of write her own ticket because they have the stronger, what is it, fine detail coordination skills, just genetically.
Exactly, yep.
And so the first thing that comes to mind when I say that to them, they're like, well, I don't want to be carrying around, you know, these heavy tanks and these big torches and all of that. And I'm like, well, I've heard it's a different environment now that it's cleaner and that, you know, so can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
It, you know, there's different types of welding now, the wire welding, and, of course, then there's robotics that, people get into, so it, yeah, it's a lot, cleaner. I remember years ago seeing a welder walking around, you know, their clothes are half burned up and that sort of thing, but, it's a very different world now, yes.
Warren, if you go out to Hawkeye right now and check out their welding program on campus, you will see several women in that welding
That's
program right now.
fantastic.
So, yeah. One of the other things that I did kind of want to touch on is when you talk about industrial maintenance, I'm sure you've heard
Yes.
that Hawkeye just got this grant from the government and stuff.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that they're going to be focusing on, based on the CNC, is looking at a maintenance program for CNC repair specifically, and some of that's in the works, and I'm not gonna get into it a lot because there's still a lot of things that are in the planning stages and they're working on it, but that, when you talk about them and meeting the needs of the community and those things,
Yes.
that's another area that they're looking at and heading towards.
Now, have you seen a lot of the air workers that were recently laid off come into these programs?
Jerry and I was just talking about that this morning, but I had one individual call me so far who is getting laid off from Deers that is interested in taking our program. Unfortunately, we had a full class, but I told him, put in your application because there is an application process to get into this program. But starting in February, we'll be starting up another class. So,
That is fantastic, because you know what I can envision is a lot of those workers actually gaining new
upskilling.
skills
Yes.
and then back at Deers in new positions and possibly even higher pay,
Right.
you know?
You know, and it just, I'll let Jerry talk in a minute, but just, you know, that's one of the things that, from an industrial maintenance side of things, usually a maintenance person is one of the last ones to be laid off,
Mhm.
simply because of their skill sets and stuff. So,
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, we actually have, as many as, I think, 6, John Deere people that have recently been laid off that, we happened to have a class that was starting a week after they got laid off, that they took the opportunity, industrial maintenance, and got right into it. We're working with, the John Deere, the company actually, for, I think they're giving them some help with,
That's fantastic.
the tuition part of it, so yeah, it's a great thing. From what I've been told, I assume this is right, that I think the people that are working in the skilled trades and maintenance part of John Deere's I don't know that they seen any layoffs, so this is like Jerome was saying, it's a good, that job may be more secure than a production worker's job.
Yes.
It is, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so,
That is fantastic. So, say there's a listener out there right now that says, hey, I wanna, get into one of these programs. What's the first step that they need to take?
For our particular program, there are several different areas, places that have our applications. You can go to the Metro Center. I don't know if you have any more applications at your place.
I think we need more.
Okay, and my understanding is Jesse Cosby Center is supposed to have them, but it's just an application process, and what we do is anyone that fills out the application, we interview them, and if they don't get into the class that's available, then they don't go through the interview process again, they're automatically going to get into that next class.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I would say anybody that's interested in industrial maintenance, CNC or welding, call me first. I can give you my phone number. It's 319-296-2329, and I have an extension 3010. So if you call me, we can talk about what type of program that you would like to get into, and then I can put you in touch with, we have what we call pathway navigators that can help you. We have what we call gap tuition,
Yes.
which can help you pay for these classes, and that is a very good source to talk to, because that's a great deal for somebody if they qualify. So
Yes.
yeah, just give me a call and we'll talk about which program that you may be looking at, and then we'll direct you in the path to get you into the class.
I'm glad you mentioned the GAP program, because even though there's a income-based prerequisite, it is very generous. You could be making a really nice amount of money and still qualify for that GAP tuition assistance. So that's been another fantastic, piece added to the puzzle that's answered a lot of, questions as far as how will I get this paid for. Now, a person that might be interested in a little bit of everything that was mentioned here, is there like an assessment piece either through GAP or anywhere to kind of give them a chance to figure out which field they maybe would like more or fit into better?
Yeah, I think, I'm not real familiar with all the processes that the GAP people work with, but yeah, they do some type of they do some tests, and I think they make you go out and interview a person that is working in the field, and that's just basically to make sure that you're taking training that's something that you want to get into. So it kind of helps you evaluate it yourself.
Good.
As far as our program, Warren, there's no requirement to get into our class, but out of our 10 individuals in the previous class, 4 of those individuals are actually going out to Hawkeye, furthering their education in the CNC field, working towards their AA. But to get into Hawkeye, they still had to go through the Compass test and all of the prerequisites in order to get into the CNC program out there. But that was one of the interesting things that we found out after going through our class. They were at a point to where they had the ability to just jump right in, even though school has started.
Now, that's fantastic. Now, is there age restriction?
There is no, we want you to be at least 18. We've got students in there that have not completed their GED yet.
Great.
They're actually given the opportunity while they're taking their GED, but that's one of the things that the businesses have told us is they want you to have that certificate and be working towards your GED. They will even consider you as far as hiring you, even though you don't have your GED, because you're going through this course.
That is fantastic. And then I would assume then that a person that's completing a program like this, the higher rate is pretty strong then.
Yes. That's one of the other questions, Warren, in our community, we've asked the businesses as far as from a standpoint of an individual being a convicted felon or having had trouble, and what we're hearing is as long as they have done the things that are necessary to get their life back in order and they are honest on the application, then they consider them also.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that was a question that comes up quite a bit. A person usually, will say, well, if I have a felony, is it even worth going through a program like this? So you asked that question, and I think that's fantastic, talking about second chances.
We actually had an individual in our previous class that when we interviewed him, he was 26 days out of prison, and he completed the class. Haven't heard where he's at right now, but we try and do follow-up. But he completed the class, got a certificate and everything, and his reasoning was he had a 17-year-old son who he wanted to make an impression on.
That is fantastic, fantastic. Now, so for a high school student, then, you know, one of the local high schools, they could even, if they're 18.
Yeah, well, we will accept them, but one of the things, Hawkeye has a program called EMC Squared. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but that's geared towards the high school students. They have an opportunity to get some of that training, actually go out to Hawkeye and earn credits. I believe East High, they have the ability, a lot of the different schools in the area actually have that program in place. And that's another program that Hawkeye has, geared towards the high school students.
I can't really think of any bases that Hawkeye doesn't have covered, to be honest.
Yep.
Yeah, I have, some CNC classes going on right now, and the age range in there is, quite large, so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter your age, just so, you know, if you have the, ability to learn and, you have the desire to learn, that's what's important.
You know, and one of the things with this training, and Jerry uses the same type of training, we actually use this software called Immerse to Learn. And it's actually software where you have a virtual control, a virtual machine. It takes you through all of the math and everything, actually talking to you, gives you the opportunity to answer the questions. And then as instructors, if we don't like your end result, we have the ability to reset your test and make you take it over again.
Oh, that is fantastic. So now, do you have any public events coming up in which you kind of, you know, announce to the community, you know, we have these programs like a career fair type setup, or?
I believe they just recently had a deal with employers coming on campus, didn't they, Jerry?
Yeah, I don't, know of anything that's scheduled here in the near future, but, yeah, we just recently had a job fair, just a couple weeks ago, I know, on campus, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, with your programs, I know, like with the truck and transportation program at Hawkeye, a lot of times those students, when they're nearing completion, they already have employers saying like, I'm interested in bringing you aboard. Do you see the same thing with your programs?
Oh yeah, one of the things that we have done is we reached out to the employers, actually came down, talked to our students, 3 of them I believe it was, but our students had the opportunity to tour 4 different manufacturers around here, and every single one of those manufacturers, as the students walked out, they handed them an application.
Wow, that is great. So now we're coming up in the last few minutes of the show. I'm going to give you each an opportunity to share any additional information or repeat any information you want to make sure the community knows about. And so we start with you this time period.
Okay, yeah, let me, just touch on the industrial maintenance again. That's gonna be starting next Monday evening, so, time is of the essence on that one. There again, if you have, interest in maintaining or maintenance work, that's basically any type of, manufacturing environment where you, work on machines, put them in new, fix them, troubleshoot them, whatever. We'll teach you how to do that in the industrial maintenance program. And then we have the CNC machining, which Jerome is, he can, actually talk a little bit about that a little more than I can, because he's an expert at that.
Well,
So, and then, once again, the welding that we're building the welding lab, so that'll be, brand new in Cedar Falls Center, so, we have a lot of opportunities for somebody that's looking for training.
And if they want to ask more questions, how would they go about it?
They can, contact me, Jerry Orr. My phone number again is 319-296-2329, and my extension is 3010.
Fantastic. And Jerome?
Okay, Warren, basically for our CNC training program, like I said, it's targeted towards the minority community. We don't discriminate. We have Caucasian males in there and a Caucasian female also. We just, anyone that's interested in getting the training, learning a new skill, we're more than willing to accept you in. Just keep in mind that we only have 14 at a time that we can train. But as long, the dean is telling me that as long as the funds are available and as long as there's interest, we will continue to train.
Fantastic. And for a person that wants more information on that program?
For a person that wants more information on that program, I can give you my number. It's on my business card. It's Jerome Amos, 319-961-6829. You can also stop down at the Hawkeye Metro Center. We are training in the basement in room 116. We have an open door policy. If there's someone out there that wants to come down and check it out, see what we're doing in that, they can come down, look at the equipment that we're using, and we'll give them some information then.
Fantastic. Oh, one quick question too. How long are these programs typically?
The CNC